So most of us became acquainted with Maslow's hierarchy of needs in Psychology 101 in college.
Right.
What was it about that particular concept that attracted you, and what have you learned about it?
Yeah, I was not a psychology major. Took one psychology class in college. Took a class in business school that actually talked about Maslow also. But I liked Maslow. I remembered when I came across his book when my company was in trouble. I remembered I liked Maslow because he was focusing on best practices in human nature as opposed to worst practices.
Right.
In fact, there's a quote that I learned after I wrote the book that Maslow came up with that I'd heard of many times, but I didn't know it was from Abraham Maslow. And that was, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. So think about that. If the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. In essence, what he was saying to the psychology community, but he could just as easily have been saying it to business people, is take off your blinders. We have a tendency in life to get very set in the way we think of things. And psychologists were set in the idea that their job is to fix people because humans are deficient and we're going to go out and fix you. What Maslow really said was, maybe there are humans who are less deficient. Why don't we study those best practices in human and see what the common traits are? And that's how the hierarchy of needs came about, by him going out and studying 1,000 people and actually learning what were the common traits of these people. And what he found was self-actualization was sort of the epitome of what these people exhibited in their lives. So for me, I started looking at that and saying, how can we apply this to the organization? But that's what Maslow did. In his last few years of his life, his primary focus was to look at how to take this hierarchy of needs pyramid in self-actualization and apply it in an organizational context to the collective as opposed to just the individual. And in so doing, he started actually seeing this is a great place because we all spend so much of our lives in our work. It's a great place to really create self-actualization. Unfortunately, he died at age 62 in 1970 before a lot of his work really got published and well known. So there are days when I sometimes feel like my role in life is to just channel Abe Maslow and focus on what he was focusing on in the latter part of his life, because no doubt most companies could use this stuff.